Hello, this is Kilo United Zero Delta. Today we're going to do a little tutorial on the FTDX3000 along with Win4Yasu Suite version 1.154 and how to set up the COM ports with OmniRig and WSJT-X. We'll probably go ahead and install Ham Radio Deluxe for the Logbook and probably Ham Apps JT Alert for logging WSJT-X to the Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. I'm not very seasoned on YouTube or doing tutorials, and I'm sure I'm going to stumble and make mistakes on the way. But as long as we can get through this, hopefully we can do it without too many hiccups. I'm still learning as I go, just like everybody else. So for that, we'll go ahead and get started. I went ahead and downloaded all the files ahead of time. So we'll go ahead and start with installing the driver for the Yasu FTDX3000. At Yasu's website, under Files, you want the FTDX3000 SEU USB driver. With a USB cable unplugged and no power to the power supply going to the rig, either or works just fine as long as the rig is not on or the USB cable is not powered. Go ahead and install the driver for the USB. Either have a 32-bit version or a 64-bit version depending on what operating or processor you have. If it's 64-bit operating system or a 32-bit on your Windows system, it should tell you there which one you need if you do not already know that. So we're going to go ahead and run the driver setup. After the driver setup, that's where you're going to go ahead and put the power to the FTDX3000 and plug in your USB cable. It's going to go ahead and finish installing the drivers now. Under your device manager, you'll see that you're going to have two COM ports. Enhanced COM port is for rig control, while the standard COM port is for keying. We're going to go ahead to go to port settings, change this to 38.4 bits per second, 8, none, and 1. No flow control. That's all you're going to have to do. You just have to pay attention to what COM ports you have. 3 is the standard, 4 is the enhanced. 4 will be for rig control, 3 for keying, which we will set up later in WSJT-X. Take note of your COM ports because you're going to, when we install COM0COM, you're going to need to specify some COM ports that aren't being used for your bridge. Next, we're going to install Win4Yasu Suite because we have our COM port set up. We might want to look at the audio because when you install your COM port, your audio is going to come in. It's going to be the USB audio codec. This is going to be out to the radio from your speakers, in from the radio, through the mic. I went ahead and renamed mine. If you click on yours, I named mine Yasu 3000, so every time it plugs in, it's going to come up with that. As you can see, when we open up WSJT-X, it'll be easier to find because there'll be many devices there to choose from. The levels, you want out at 100% because you will be using WSJT-X for your level control. Recording, this is going to be rig compliant, so every rig is going to be separate. The levels on mine, I'm going to have to set way down here because I know that the FTDX3000 is very sensitive for the the input. We'll go ahead and install Win for Yasu Suite. They also have a 32-bit version or a 64-bit version, and it is a full-featured 30-day trial to see if it works for you and is what you want. Tom support is bar none one of the best I've ever seen, and he has video tutorials on how to set up the Comm and your Spectrum display. I would really recommend going through these, and he does a very good job of explaining it in detail. I'm just trying to get through a little bit and show the bare minimum what you need to do to get it going. Now we're going to go ahead and launch the Win for Yasu Suite. Continue the evaluation version until you are certain this is going to work for you. You're going to bring up this window automatically because it doesn't know what COM port to look. So if we remember, 3 was the standard COM port, 4 was the enhanced. We want to go ahead and, before we get to this point, I forgot to mention that important menu. Forgot about the menu in the rig. See, I told you we'd stumble. We're going to set menu 38 is the cat rate for 38.4 to match the COM port that we set on the computer. Cat RTS is going to be disabled. You do not want cat RTS with cat control because it's sporadic and unreliable in cat control, but we will be using RTS or DTR for the PC key line. That would be menu 65 set to DTR. Menu 67, data mode set to others. 69 and 70 set to 1500 Hertz. That way your WSJT-X frequency for your offsets will be displayed correctly. Data port will be USB. That's where to take the audio and PTT while in data mode. Data mic gain, I set mine at 20. That's a good place to start. Sets the data input level from the TNC. And your data out will be the data out from the data out is out from the rig and your Vox, and the other is the RTTY out, or RTTY, excuse me. You can, I have mine set up so I can do RTTY and FSK also, so I don't have to come back and change more menu items later. And we're going to go ahead and save that COM4. Oh, forgot to click connect. When you're connected, it's going to gray, and then you can click save. So as you can see here, that rig control is indeed communicating. Our second thing we're going to do next thing we're going to do is go ahead and install the Comm Bridge. That I will be putting links to all these in the comment section or the description. And this is where we're going to download the Comm. Tom gives a really good detailed explanation how to set this up. We're going to try to set it up quickly so we don't have this video of 3 miles long and taking too much of everybody's time. When Comm sets up, it already made a pair, and it looks. This is what you're used to seeing. Don't mind this because it's just what they named it. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the COM pair, and I didn't have any COM ports below or above 3 and 4. I'm going to go ahead and make this pair COM 10 and 11. COM 10 is where you're going to be setting it up in Win for Yasu Suite. COM 11 will be for the OmniRig. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 12 and 13 because we will probably use it down the line for logging or some other program. And always have your pairs so they're next to each other, and it makes it for easier setup and use. So there, now I have 2 pairs set up. So now I go to Tools and Settings, go to Third Party. Here's where I'm going to set up those 2 pair. The first pair here is going to be COM 10. And the second pair is going to be 10 and 11, 12 and 13. We're going to go ahead and connect that one. We know that one's connected. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Save. I'm going to go ahead and install OmniRig. And you'll see, I'll show you in a minute, the OmniRig client that lets you know that your cat control is working as it should. This is very important that you use the Yasu Silicon Labs driver and not the driver from the Silicon Labs website, or let Windows install an update for the driver. They think that it works, but it does not work as it should. And I ran into this early when Tom was developing the software. We both had trouble, and we both finally figured out what was causing the issues was the driver. Windows 10 wanted to install its own driver for that, and CAT will still work, but it will not work and poll correctly. So that is most important, to use the driver from Yasu website. And if you have any questions which driver, you go ahead and go to your device manager and you can see which driver version that it should be. And you want to take note of this because this is the driver that you need. And I would actually use Snippet or sniping tools take a screenshot of that so you can go down later and you can see which version you have, because you got to have the one for Yasu. The other ones just do not work correctly. OmniRig, back to OmniRig. Sorry for just trying to cover as much as I can in a short amount of period. So I'm sure I'm stumbling pretty good, but we'll try to get through it. So OmniRig does not display when it was installed, but if we go here, we will find OmniRig. So if you remember, in the Win for Yasu suite, under your third party, Comm 10 is going to be on the Win for Yasu seat side, and Comm 11 was the other pair, and that's going to be in OmniRig. So we're going to put Comm 11, go ahead and search for your rig, FTDX3000, 38.4, 8, none, and 1. So your RTS and DTR line, you want none. Low is off, high is on. You do not want any of those. Click OK. So the best way I know for you to know that your COM port is working correctly is if you on the OmniRig website, you click on OmniRig. Nope, it's going to be downloads. Nope. OmniRig. You look at the OmniRig client. Go ahead and download that. That is a great tool. So click on the OmniRig client and run it. Go ahead and this is your OmniRig settings. For your rig, click OK. Now you see how it's polling constant. There is no errors. It'll have an error here if it hesitates just for a second. You know here it's working as it has constant polling, and it's getting all this information from the rig. So if you have this up and it does not poll constantly and gives an error, even though your cat works, this is telling you that your driver for your COM port is not polling as it should. This is the best tool that I can tell you that you know that your COM port is working. So now, where are we? We have Win for Yasu suite up. Rig is working. We have OmniRig working. Once you have OmniRig set up, you don't ever have to touch it again. It works in the background and it's just works all by itself. So now we're going to go and we're going to install WSJT-X. I think we're that far now. So we're going to go ahead and install WSJT-X. This is the new version 2.0. And everyone has to be 2.0 or better, because the other ones you're not going to be able to decode anything because they've moved forward with the 77-bit version. So it's highly recommended to make sure you have the latest version with WSJT-X. It will save you a lot of headaches later. So you're going to get this error about this LOTW user data, that is in the manual. So if you want to get rid of that error, you're going to have to download a CSV file. I'm trying to grab it off my other computer here. And that's so you know which users, it'll highlight which users are LOTW users, and you can choose them before somebody else if that's what you choose to do. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Find that file that I downloaded previously. Grab it from my other PC. Let's try it again. It's going to be a LOTW user activity CSV. Copy that. Go to your computer. See users, your user, application data, local, WSJT-X. Go ahead and paste that into that folder. We're going to go ahead and run WSJT-X again, if I can find it in this mess here. So this nag screen here that is part of the software to let everybody know about this new version, and they're supposed to be taken out, and that you have to upgrade, and they're supposed to be taking that out in the next release. So I'm just trying to get my windows here bigger so you can see what's going on here. First thing I want to do is I want to go to the settings, put in your call sign, your grid, and these are just my basic settings, what I like. I like the distance in miles and blank lines between the codes so you can know which period is which. I want the double click call sets TX enable. Single decode. These are just, every user does what's like they like, and you'll have to figure that out. Now we're going to go, here's where we're going to choose OmniRig. We're going to go to the OmniRig 1 because that's what OmniRig that we set up. If we go to OmniRig, because we can set up two different rigs in OmniRig, and I use my FTDX3000 on one and FT991 on the other. So you can see I got FTDX3000 in rig 1. Rig 2 I will set up my FT991. That's where I'm going to go. He changed the cat controls on for the FT991 I went ahead and fixed the, that's another, I will explain that the rig cat controls were a little wrong, and he went ahead and fixed these. Now he's got two, one for regular, one for data. I just went ahead, this is the newer version, so we're just going to, if you want in data mode, I guess we're going to click data. I didn't know if FTDX3000 did the same thing. Yes, it did. So if we're in data mode, I guess we're going to, yeah, I don't get what he did there. I'm going to email him and find out what he did. OmniRig, DTR. We're going to go ahead and choose the COM 3, because this is the way I do it. Some people push the VOX, some people does CAT. There's no wrong way to do it unless it don't work. So you'd have to set up your VOX line or your CAT. The CAT will go down the same COM port as the rig control. I choose not to do it that way. I know my standard COM ports for keying, so I go ahead and it's easier for me. So I'm going to go for data. Your audio. This is where I see how many devices I have. Now it's easier to find because now my Yasu input from radio and my Yasu output to radio. The logging automatically does not work yet in this version. I'm going to go ahead and set up this. If you want to, for ham spots, to spot you're on the net, you'll want to go ahead and check these if that's what you want. PSK reporter. Colors. You're going to have to play with the colors to find out what colors you like. I'm not going to get into the colors right now. Frequencies. If you don't show any frequencies here, you're going to want to right click on this and reset. That's going to reset all your frequencies. So you have them here. If this is just white, yeah, you're going to want to make sure that you go ahead and reset. The mode. We're going to go FT8 because we know that's where everybody's at. We're going to get rid of the spectrum display. Yeah, I already got something going on here and I have no idea what yet. CAT control's working. Yeah, we just had the wrong frequency. I'm a JT-DX myself. I like WSJT-X. I love what they did, but for user, I like JT-DX because it is so much easier for me to navigate because I'm old, getting older. My eyesight ain't as good. It's just much easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and you can see now it's decoding. I'm going to go ahead and install the Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook because we know WSJT-X is working. I used the power slider here and I'm just going to TX one time quick, find those. One thing about WSJT-X, you get with the FTDX3000, you get beyond the 500 and 2500, you're going to be out of your band and your audio is going to drop off. Imagine a nice good hump, and then when it gets to 2500, your audio is going to drop right off. Same thing with 500. You'll notice because you'll lose power on the rig. Turning up the power, yeah, you can make up some, but I would recommend going up 50 kilo just to make, if you have someone up in this area that you want to work. Trying to find a spot in here would be like trying to do a shoehorn. So I'm going to go, if you watch the frequency, where do they show the frequency here? They don't. Oh yeah, right here. I'm going to go up 50. $500. So now you can see they're still way up. I'm going to go up 5 more just to get out of the way here. And then you'll know that the keying works. Always make sure that you're not transmitting on somebody else. It makes it harder to decode. And this can be a YouTube video in itself, and there's many out there, but I'm just trying to get people connected. So you go ahead and I'm going to bring up Win for Yasu Suite. I'm going to stick him over here. So the S units, right click ALC. So now you can see I have ALC up here. I'm going to want to transmit. It's TXing. ALC. Take this power slider and move that down till you have minimal ALC but max power out on your rig, and you can still see your rig. So remember that always have that on your ALC. Use your power slider. Now you don't have to go in and change on your speakers or your anything else. Oh yeah, someone came back to me. I didn't want that, but it's not going to log in my logbook, so I have to go back and manually enter him, but that's all right. We're going to set up J2 alert and ham radio Deluxe logbook. And I know this is kind of lengthy, but we'll try to see if we can't get through this YouTube video here. And the 7.3, you want to go ahead and this will be logged after you. I had 30 watts. I always put and the retain does not work, but there is a workaround. I will not try to get into that on this video here. So now it's going to go ahead and log. It's not going to log automatically because I have no way to log that. But maybe I'm just going to cut this video done. We're going to go ahead and finish installing JT Alert. We installed JT Alert. Bring it up Win for Yasu Suite. I installed Ham Radio Deluxe. Upon first launch, you'll get this. You'll go to Yasu FTDX3000. COM port 4, that's your enhanced COM port, 38.4, no DTR RTS. Go ahead and connect. Under your logbook, this is going to be your your logbook. You can go ahead and rename that, but it has to point to your access database. This is what JT Alert to connect uses for your logbook. There's a million things to go through this. I'm not going to go through them, but your logbook. You can set this up to configure to QRZ, Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook, EQSL, DX Cluster, Club Log, LOTW. LOTW is here. You can import, export logs. It's just a very good log program. I enjoy it. I'm not going to use the Ham Radio Deluxe software for rig control. I'm using Win for Yasu Suite. We'll go ahead and launch that back. Continue. I have it launching the Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. It goes ahead and connects automatically. That is done here, your tools, settings, third party. It will put this in automatically, but you just browse for your Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook and program files, Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook, and it will launch every time Win for Yasu Suite is launched. We're going to go ahead and launch WSJT-X back again. And now I installed Ham Apps JT Alert, because that's what's going to automatically log to the Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. You want the red one for WSJT-X. Blue is for JTDX, JT65AH, and HB9HQX. Those are all different JT65 FT8 programs. Upon first launch, it's going to ask for your call sign. You go ahead and put that in there. It's going to automatically put in your grid. There's a lot of things inside this program. I'm not going to try to get through many or any of them today. But your settings, manage settings. I'm going to go ahead and go to logging, Ham Radio Deluxe 5 or 6. You want to click 6.3 or letter and enable, and it's looking for this database. So once you click on that and click OK, it's going to save your Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. There's a lot of settings to get mine looking here. The window, I have 4 and 9, making it big. I have it docking to the top of WSJT-X, and extended display show. These 4 will show all this information here. Click Save, OK. So now we're going to try to make a QSO again. Let's see if we can do it. I'm on 20 meters. It is getting kind of late. So let's just try to call CQ. Receiving. TX. Win for Yasu ALC. Slider. Bring it down a little bit. You'll have to adjust this as the rig heats up, as you get farther and closer from band edges. And you can see I bring it down to minimum, max power. As long as you're in the blue, theoretically you're okay. I try to stay on the lower side. That seems like where it works the best. I just want to see if I can get it to log here. JT Alert does so many things. You can set individual alerts for states and grids and North America, countries, continents. It's just an unbelievable little program. It just does so much. Oh, someone's coming back so we can see if it's going to log into the Ham Radio Deluxe logbook. Came back. I got it on auto sequence. It automatically came back with a 10. You want your receive audio between 30 and 60. There. I go ahead and put in my information. And it should log. It should bring a little window. There it goes. So JTLX just logged into the Ham Radio Deluxe logbook all by itself. You can go ahead and user defined. Nope. Well, there's a thing where you can add your... I'm not going to try to find that right now. Anyway, we know that that logged. We're going to be done with Ham Radio Logbook. I can make another tutorial another day. But that's how you do automatic logging with WSJT-X. That way, if you try to do it manually by hand, and if you don't have rig control, it can become a mess in a big hurry. Inaccuracy, your time. I did not go through the time, setting your time. If you look at WSJT-X or JTDX, they have a whole tutorial on setting your time. There's programs that automatically sync your time. You start getting into 0, 5, 1, you're not going to decode because you're not going to be in sync at the same time slot. That's going to be most important. And there's many tutorials on that. I'm not going to get into that. Well, that's going to conclude our little tutorial on the Win4Yasu suite, Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook, COM0Com, OmniRig, WSJT-X, JT Alert, and Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. I know I went through it rather quickly, but I was just trying to show people the basics, how you can integrate all these apps together with Win4Yasu suite. There's many different combinations that you can make work with Win4Yasu suite, and you're not limited to just the way that I did it, but yet this will give you a baseline to be able to use it to connect what your preferences are. I hope you enjoyed this video, as I'm going to try to make more and in-depth videos which can cover a lot more of the ham apps, JT Alert, more of inside the logbook, and getting in depth with some settings that you will not find too much on the internet. Macros with the RTTY. There's just not a whole lot of tutorials on how to do this. It's a hands-on, figure it out yourself type stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it, and this tutorial will help as many as it can. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, and if you liked it, please leave a comment. If you're not, leave your comments to yourself. Yeah, just kidding. I know the comments are funny, but anyway, thanks for watching, and 73, everybody.